I'm Sebastian St. James. Today I will show you the best place in Australia to buy property, and I've got the facts to prove it. In a previous video, one of my viewers said, "My question is, where is the best spot in Australia to buy investment properties?" This is Mike Preston, and he's one of my channel members. Mike is new to property investing, and there's one thing that scares him more than anything else. And what's that, Mike? Oh, the interest rates on his loan. Right, yes, they have gone up rather steeply. But there's a problem. Mike has heard that buying property as an Australian makes you unpleasant. Does it? Since moving to Australia from Europe 10 years ago, every other conversation is about how to add more properties to your investment portfolio and how to get more rent from your tenants. When did Australian society become this unpleasant? Hashtag no politics. Mike, I can assure you, if you buy property in Australia, you remain pleasant, charming, and an all-round decent guy. There's only one condition, and that's that you leave that property vacant. Now, if you get a tenant for that property, you are instantly immoral. You're a demon profiting off the misery and suffering of others. So if you want a tenant, it's time to put on your demon suit. Presumably you have one. I know I do.
It's a Tuesday. I'm putting your rent up by 25% just like every other Tuesday. What do you mean you can't afford it? Sell your children. They're costing you too much anyway.
Oh, I was just practicing being a landlord. Right now, let's find the best place to buy an investment property in Australia. Mike, well, he's a bricklayer who earns $72,000. In particular, he's after cash flow. Well, that makes sense. $72,000 will not go far in paying back a loan. Having your property go up in value over time is good, but it doesn't do you any good if you can't afford to pay back that loan and if your rent doesn't even cover the loan. So, Mike, we need to find you properties that have the best rental yield. And what's rental yield? Well, that is the annual rent divided by the price of the property times by 100 and it becomes a percentage. Pop quiz. Oh, cool. Does rent from the average Australian investment property cover the current investment property interest rate? Well, if it doesn't, I'm going to have to be paying money out of my own pocket. An excellent question, Sebastian. Lock in your answer now. Here's a list of the current interest rates for investment properties. On the right, you see the comparison rate, 5.8, 5.85. Oh, here's the answer. A mortgage right now is around 5.8%, but the rental yields are closer to 3.9%. So no, the rent you collect from the tenants does not cover your mortgage. And unless you have an interest-only loan, of course you'll be paying back capital as well. These are the property gross rental yields, that means before expenses are taken out, as an average across all capital cities in Australia. Well, Sebastian, I see some pink lines, I see some blue lines, but they don't have any labels on them. That's right, and that's deliberate. Pop quiz. Oh, another one. Do units or houses give you the best rental yield? Lock in your answer now. Let's take that same graph and this time add in the units. Up the top is pink. Oh, pink is units. Aha. Down the bottom in blue, yes, that's the housing. Units on average across all capital cities have a return of 4.7%. Houses, no, 3.1%. So the answer is, when it comes to rental yield, units are better. Here is the probable permanent truth. Units have a higher rental yield than houses. I say probable permanent truth just in case something changes, but yeah, that's basically the way things are. But the problem is, right now, even the rental income from the units, which pays better, still doesn't cover your loan. Your tenants pay 4.7%. You have to pay back 5.8% to the bank. And remember, we're talking about gross rental yield. You have to pay your agent's fees, and of course, there's always repairs. I know, that carpet doesn't fix itself. So far, so good. I've given you the actual hard data, which tells you what average rents are across capital cities in Australia. But perhaps you don't want to be average. You want to actually get higher returns. In which case, which city should you go to? Pop quiz. Does Canberra, Sydney, Darwin, Brisbane, Adelaide, Hobart, Melbourne or Perth give you the best rental yield? Oh, that's a tricky question. Lock in your answer now. The only way to answer that question is to look at the actual real data of the capital cities. I will provide that to you. This is the rental yields across Canberra. Up the top we notice it's a pink line. Of course, pink is units, and that's what we'd expect. Here are the rental yields for Sydney. I'm noticing those rental yields actually slid down there for many, many years, and only recently it's actually come back up a bit. The raw data I'm about to give you is of July 2023. In other words, these figures are right up to date as of this video. Of the two, Canberra has the better yield, with the units 4.8% as opposed to Sydney's 4.4%. Oh, but there's a bigger difference in the house. Look at that, 1.1% difference. Wow, that is significant. This is a graph for Darwin. Wow, that's all over the place. And there's been some times when basically units and houses have had more or less the same yield. Yeah, something's going on there. That's rather significant. But more recently, units are pulling away. Oh, they're winning at the moment. Darwin, 6.9%. Wow, okay. That's a big jump up above everything else. Here's the data for Brisbane. Fairly flat, quite stable. You're definitely not looking at Darwin here. And they come in at second place at 5.3%. Right now, Canberra's actually doing better than Brisbane in housing. Mike wants the best rental yield, so of course he's going to go for units, so that's the column I've sorted on. Here's Adelaide. Yeah, quite stable. Adelaide is in position number 3 at 5.2%. This is the data for Hobart. The housing looks stable. Units, wow, that's quite lumpy. Hobart, second from the bottom at 4.7%. No, they're not doing well at all, are they? The problem with renting in Hobart is you need to get your shovel and shovel away the snow to get out your front door. Here are the figures for Melbourne, which, like Sydney, actually went down there for a while and have now just recently come up. Oh, they're second from the bottom. Oh dear. This is fascinating. The two largest cities, Melbourne and Sydney, right down the bottom. So you think, okay, it's the big boys down the bottom, but no, there's Hobart, that's third. That's not big. And here's the data for Perth, which has been quite lumpy. 2012-13, they were doing rather well, big slump, and towards the end, they're coming back up. Oh, Perth is number 2 on the list at 6.2%. Well done, Perth. To answer the question, which capital city has the best rental yield? The answer is Darwin. So, if you're a landlord in Darwin, congratulations, you are a winner. But of course, if you're renting in Darwin or Perth and you think that your rent is too much in comparison to the rest of Australia, you're probably right. Do rental properties in capital or non-capital cities give higher rental yields? Interesting question. Are you likely to get a higher rental yield out of Newcastle or Sydney, Geelong or Melbourne? Lock in your answer now. We've seen the rental yields on the capital cities already, but let's refresh our memory. Units were 4.7%, houses were 3.1%. Pop them in the table. Right, they're between Hobart and Melbourne. Okay, so this must be weighted average because Melbourne and Sydney, with their greater populations, are pulling down the average. Here is the rental yield of national. Well, what does national mean? National means everything, so that does include capital cities, but if we look at capitals alone versus national, well, what's the difference? Non-capital cities. The rental yield on units in national is 5%. I think that's higher. Houses has 3.9%. Pop those into the table. Column 3 is the average between the units and houses, and I'm sorting on the average, and national is the winner. And several slots below is the capital cities. So, the data suggests that investing in regional centres rather than capital cities themselves, you may actually be doing better off. But the question is this what I consider to be a permanent truth? Something that's likely to be true going on into the future? Well, yes, it is. It's a probable permanent truth. Non-capital cities have a higher rental yield than capital cities. Oh, I've got a thanks. No, I've got a series of thanks from Elmo. So many thanks. Thank you very much, Elmo. Elmo's thanks now pushes his questions further up the queue. Way to go, Elmo. This is Harley Russell, and he's one of my channel members. Hello, I seem to be missing his photo. How odd. All my channel members have photos, except for brand new ones, and Harley is my latest. Oh, how exciting. I've looked at Harley's name for inspiration of what he actually looks like. And here he is. This is Harley riding a Harley. Of course, it's his destiny. Harley believes that most of your rent goes in fees anyway, such as agent fees and repairs. Yeah, that's probably true. Capital growth is property's only true return. Pop quiz. Oh, has Canberra, Sydney, Darwin, Brisbane, Adelaide, Hobart, Melbourne or Perth had the best 10-year capital growth? That's an interesting question. So we're not talking about the rental yield here, we're talking about capital growth. How much the property prices have gone up by over a 10-year period. Lock in your answer now. We know which cities had the best rental yield. The question is, will property prices going up be in the same cities? This are the property prices of Canberra. In blue up the top is houses, that's standalone houses. In pink down the bottom is units. And importantly, in yellow is the combined. And that combined is the figure I'll be using. Canberra has had a 10-year growth of 4.9%. Is that 4.9% across the 10 years? Or is that an annual figure? CAGR. It is in fact annualized. In Sydney, prices are going up steadily. Certainly running away recently, aren't they? Of course, this data is all right up to date as of July 2023. Yes, it's that recent. In the lead right now, Sydney. 10-year growth of 6.3%. Well done, Sydney. Here is Darwin. Oh dear. Okay, this is entirely different. You'll recall that Darwin actually won when it came to best rental yield, but look at their prices. Wow. It's been a dog's breakfast, basically. They haven't done very well at all. Darwin's 10-year return, minus 1.1%. How embarrassing for them. That's not minus 1.1% over the 10 years. That's each year. That's an annualized figure. So in reality, it's much, much worse. This is Brisbane. They've picked up rather well, haven't they? Brisbane has returned 6.1%, putting them in second place. Well done, Brisbane. This is the property prices for Adelaide. Adelaide, you were flat for a very long time. Recently, they've jumped up. Adelaide's growth has been 5.1%, placing them in third position. Here's the data for Hobart, which has been doing pretty well, actually. I've noticed that most of the other cities were actually flat and only recently grew, whereas Hobart's actually started growing a while back, around about 2017. So well done, Hobart. Hobart has returned 7.3%, which puts them in position number 1. Hooray, if you're in Hobart. Here's the figures for Melbourne. Yeah, they've been growing for quite some time. At 5.9% annualised, and that puts them in position number 4. This is the property prices for Perth. Okay, not so good, is it? Little bit of up, a little bit of down. Really going nowhere in particular. Perth has an annualised growth of 0.9%. Wow, can't even get 1%. Putting them second from the bottom. So, the answer to which city has had the best 10-year growth? The answer is Hobart at 7.3%. Well done, Hobart, and congratulations if you own property down there. Pop quiz. Do investment properties in capital or non-capital cities have a higher capital growth? Okay. So, if you're going to invest in, say, Newcastle versus Sydney, which one would you expect the price to go up more over time? Lock in your answer now. This is the average price growth for capital cities right across Australia. On average, they've returned 5.4% per annum. Now, how does that compare to all of Australia, including non-capital cities? Well, here's a graph. They've done well lately, haven't they? The national figure is 5.7%, capital cities 5.4%, which means over the last 10 years you would have done better if you invested outside of the capital cities than inside, on average. There you go. I got a thanks. What a revelation. Excellent, SSJ. Thank you very much, Gaurav. That I appreciate. And that thanks, of course, pushes Gaurav's questions further up the queue. This is Constantin DA, and he's one of my channel members. Constantin wants the best total return. Well, what does that mean? Capital growth, which means how much the house price is going up, plus rental yield. Well, he's demanding, but fair enough. If you're making any investment, you should always look at your total return. Because after all, designer stubble does not come for free, so you need a good profit just to afford that. Pop quiz. Which of the capitals has had the best total return? Total return is your housing price going up plus your rental yield. Lock in your answer now. We have the data already. All we need to do is to add the two together. Here are two tables. On the left is your rental yield, and on the right is how much the property price has gone up by. Two separate tables. Let's colour code them to see exactly what's going on. Darwin had the best rental yield. That's in yellow, but on the right-hand side, no, their property price actually went backwards. Oh dear. The worst rental yield came from Sydney. It's actually second from the top when it comes to property price growth. Interesting. It seems like the cities that had the best rental yield actually had the worst growth, and vice versa. Does that even make sense? Well, yes, it does, because rental yield equals the annual rent divided by the property price times by 100. And if you understand that formula at all, you'll see it's an inverse relationship. As capital growth goes up, rental yields go down if rent doesn't also rise sufficiently. So the answer to our pop quiz, which city had the best total return? The answer is Hobart at 11.4%. Hooray for Tasmania! Darwin, well, yeah, good rental yield, but overall dismal performance at 4.95%. So congratulations go to Hobart. That's total return. That's everything wrapped up into one figure. But Arnott's doesn't care. In 2000, the island was left off the Australian map in some of the official literature from the Sydney Olympics. Here's Australia. No, there was no Tasmania. That red bit down the bottom was never there. Perhaps Arnott's were buying up all the rental properties in Tasmania and wanted to keep it a secret. Shh. Pop quiz. Do investment properties in capital or non-capital cities have a higher total return? Lock in your answer now. Total return is really the ultimate answer, so let's see who wins. The overall winner is national at 10.15%, which means regional cities have done better than capitals at 9.3%. You now have all the data about where the best properties are in Australia, but that does leave me with one important question to answer. Does being a landlord make you immoral? Are you a demon profiting off the misery and suffering of others?
What do you mean you've lost your job? Hasn't your grandmother got a purse? Go and get it from her.
Are landlords evil? If you've ever rented, clearly the answer is yes, but let's look at the data. If you've got an investment property in a capital city, which is what the bulk of people will do, on average you'd be returning about 3.9%. That is your rental yield before all expenses. But if you stick your money in the bank, you can get closer to 5.5%. Okay, wow, that's a big jump. And apparently, if you put your money in the bank, you don't have to pay agents' fees and you don't have to replace any carpets. I mean, how cushy is that? The data tells us that landlords actually aren't evil. I know, that's a big surprise. No doubt there are some landlords who are gouging, but on average across the board, those landlords could actually get better returns if they stick their money into the bank. So what's the problem here? What's to blame is the huge prices of housing in Australia. Landlords, on average, are getting 3.9%. That's not massive at all. But if the prices are so high, it means that the average renter is struggling to meet their rent. Take Brisbane, for example. You'll notice that property prices have actually been going up quite a lot in Brisbane. Like everywhere, I'm sure the rents have been going up to match, but have a look at the rental yield. In Brisbane, the rental yield, how much tenants are paying versus the property price, has basically been pretty much dead flat for the last 10 years. Wow, okay. In this video, we've discussed where you can invest, exactly which capital city will give you the best return. But if you don't want to invest in property, you can do the same thing but within stocks by choosing which sectors actually give you better returns than the market overall. Which sectors are they, Sebastian? Click here to find out, or if you've seen that, click here.